our door.
But we'd like to remind the listeners, if you'd like to get in our conversation today, 398-1020, 398-1020, here till 4 o'clock, and a programming reminder that starting on Monday, we will be switching times. We will be moving down 1 hour to be on from 3 to 5. So starting this Monday, we will be 3 to 5.
Write that down
following
right now.
the Savage Nation. We're already on at 3. They just have to get used to listening to us at 4. So that's all.
Well, we'll have Ken Denick, a retired Philadelphia Eagle, a good friend of mine, as
Yes.
well as the CEO, I guess,
So give us
president
some
of Jersey Man magazine. And we want to get Chris on the cover of that magazine because he is so pro-New Jersey and his forward thinking to attract business back here. But Sam, I want to ask you a couple of things. You can introduce yourselves to the guests. This was my first time meeting you. I hope you do come back with us. We started before we had our ADD moment and went off on another track, we started to talk about the issues that are so important to New Jersey. From your perspective, what do you say? First, introduce yourself, give a little background, and then jump right in there with some of the most important issues we as New Jerseyans should be focuses on.
Well, April, thank you for having me today. It's certainly my pleasure to come down to Ocean City today. I'll just give you a little background about myself. I don't know how well you know me. I come from the private sector. I had a family business I was in there for almost 37 years.
You don't look that old. God bless you.
Well, thank you.
Whatever you're doing, keep it up.
And I'm a grandfather, too, just like you're a grandparent.
Yeah.
So this is the grandfather's corner, or grandparents' corner of
This
the
is us.
studio.
Yeah, King Arthur, catch up. We got enough that we can share.
But anyway, I really love New Jersey. And we talked about this before. I love the state. There's so many things to love about it. Especially down here in South Jersey where I live, there's the proximity to Atlantic City and the shore points.
The beach.
The beach. I'm a beach guy. Philadelphia's close by. New York City's 2 hours away. Washington, Baltimore. New Jersey is just a wonderful, wonderful place to live. And it was so disheartening when we had a governor like Governor John Corzine, who was supposed to be the Wall Street wizard, the man with the plan, the man with the brains, and to me,
the man that Biden and Obama called for financial advice in a time of crisis.
There you go.
Yeah,
that kind of explains things.
Well, $1 billion disappeared on Corzine's watch, and then magically, I think it's all kind of been filtered through the Obama campaign. That'll be so interesting if we ever get real good journalism in Washington that'll cover the truth. I'd love to see that.
Well, what's $1 billion between friends anyway?
I'm telling you, I know. Well, with inflation on his watch, really $1 billion. I'm thinking, can we go to Walmart?
Yeah, it's only worth about $12.50 today.
I'm telling you.
But anyway, I really love the state, and Bob had mentioned it as well. So what do you do? Do you stay here and you make the good fight, or do you move like so many other people have? North Carolina. In fact, Pennsylvania is becoming a destination state. So many people in New Jersey are moving to Pennsylvania because it's so much cheaper. And about 3 years ago, when I met Christie, that gave me the impetus and that gave me the inspiration. I said, you know what? I said, we have to stay.
He has very high approval ratings, by the way.
The governor?
Yeah.
Well,
I think he does.
I love the guy, and I know you do as well. And of course, I think there's demographics out there that don't like him. But
well, I think, but again,
special interest and so forth.
Right. And I was going to say, when you just talk about the Teachers Association, I get the rancor. I got a lot of flack, and he knows from a trooper and about the whole pension thing. I'm thinking, yeah, but Chris didn't do it, and I do think if he holds on enough, give him the opportunity to come up with something.
Yeah, I mean, he was actually, Bob and I had gone to the Firemen's Convention a couple of years ago, and the governor walked in into a shower of booze, and he said, I had a speech prepared, but forget it. He says, okay, bring it on. He goes, I want to hear it. He goes. And he said, he says, I felt like I walked into a party late. He said there was nothing but empties on the floor. And they said, okay, Mr. Christie, we'd like you to clean this up. And that's what he's really done, and he's been hampered by multi-billion-dollar budget deficits in his first 2 years in office, burgeoning government, which, of course, on my side, I'm a Republican and I'm a fiscal conservative. I want to see smaller government. I want to see fiscal conservative in spending. And that's what he's really, really trying to do. And it's going to take him, he's getting near the end of his first term. I have a lot of confidence that he's going to win a second term if he decides to run, which I think he will.
I hope he. I'm torn. I mean, I really would have liked to see him to be president. I understand his rationale and I respect it. I also feel that the police, and I'm very, I won't say involved in law enforcement, but I support them. And trust me, folks, it's not like I'm not feeling for any officers that would call in, or firemen or first responders. To me, you all should go after the person and persons. Let me
Yes.
tell you, Christie Whitman did a lot of things that were stupid.
Yes, she did.
She really did. And even with the 9/11, the air's clean. I'm looking at TV going, could you turn around and see the matter in back of your head that everybody's breathing? So just because, and I think the truth that I'll bring, I don't just love you because you're a Republican.
Yeah.
I don't just
No, I
hate
agree,
you because
April.
you're a Democrat. Just let's say
Yeah.
you were horrible at your job. And when you looked at McGreevey, honest to God, I don't care if he was gay or straight. I really don't. I mean, that was between him and his wife. I'm really surprised after that he didn't have to come back and get a nose job or go get the forefront of his teeth replaced. I mean, that was a pretty bold initiative. But, I looked at it like, what did you do to our state?
Yeah, I mean, in April, you're right. I mean, it doesn't, the party designation doesn't make you, a good or a bad elected official, and I admire anyone who runs for office and decides to give their time as an elected official, that I get that, but we've been lucky this way to have Governor Christie on our side, a man to step up, hopefully in about 3 or 4 years.
And a
will be running
great
for
lieutenant
president.
governor.
Awesome.
I mean,
she
she was at the award. We spoke a little bit. She thanked me personally for helping out with this initiative. And her son's in the Air Force.
Yeah, but actually, the original question is, what are the biggest problems in New Jersey? And our corporate taxes are the highest in the country. I was a businessman. I went through this. And we even had thoughts. Shall we? Today with technology and everything.
We're thinking it now. My husband being a physician, you really,
Exactly.
you really do look at your bottom line at the end of the year.
you have to look at it. And you know what? I said, no, you know what? We're New Jersey. Our company was in New Jersey for over 65 years. It would kill me. I know I shouldn't use those terms, but it would really be hurtful to even to move the corporation out of New Jersey. So I said, well, you know what? I think it's time for me to jump in the fray. I was inspired by Governor Christie, Bob here, who I have really just been friends in the last maybe 4 or 5 years, but become closest of friends, and a man I admire who's taken the party in Cumberland County, and Cumberland County is really more predominantly Democrat. The board, our freeholder board, was 7 Democrats to none. In a matter of about 2 years, is it, Bob, or 3 years?
3 years.
That we now have control of the board. I shouldn't say control, but there's a Republican majority, and we're bringing some new conservatism into our county, trying to lower our real estate taxes. Our real estate taxes in the state are the highest in the country. So why would you, it de-incentivizes people for staying.
And that's why I think for people that are Democrats right now, I'm going to give you kind of an assessment I have real quick. 30 years ago, the Democratic Party is much different than it is now. What I've noticed as a free-thinking individual, now it's we need to prop up a constituency base, regardless of who it is, the illegal voting, the absentee, the dead people that they literally dig up to vote. And I'm going to pose this to you. All of us sitting here, we all work 2, 3. I mean, for the most part, I've always had 3 jobs my whole entire life. It's like taking the golden goose and just making a little slit and just putting a little blood, a little bit of blood in the cup, a little bit of blood. And little by little, what I have seen over the past 20 years is the ranks of welfare and unemployment under this administration, and the squeezing. The Democratic concept was just keep taxing the working people to death, and then this way our constituency base will grow. We're going to reward people for having children out of wedlock. We're going to keep that up. And now I'm telling you, it's not about bigotry. It's not about anything but good fiscal sense. You've got to put into something to take it out. Tell me one farmer that walks to a field and waits at the end of the year for a corn crop when you didn't put one seed into the ground. You didn't toil over it. You didn't water it, weed it. I'm so tired of, I want to help people. Come on, folks. I'm on 9 charity boards. I breathe this stuff. But the charities that I do, including the American Red Cross, and as a board member, we help people. We help get them back on their feet. There's not one person I can think of in all the years I sat on the board of the American Red Cross that we went back and sent them a check every week. We go that business model works. We have great people that donate very generously. I mean, every agency, the CEO gets this, what I hear you on that. But the bottom line is, look at that agency alone. Globally goes out and helps extreme catastrophe victims. You look in our area locally, it really is for fire. So what do? Somebody who is a good citizen, their house burns down, we go in, get shelter over their head, meal in their stomach, some clothes on their back, and pretty much they leave our grasp and they go back on with their life. So I'm going to say one of the social programs, and you hear, again, even with unemployment, I would have thought that this president would have been breaking his neck to do whatever it would have taken. I'm telling you what, here we go, live from the White House. I'm going to make sweeping changes that are going to make the immigration busting for people to come back, for American businesses to come back.
Yes.
What could we have done? And just slash
April,
taxes.
it's a total lack of leadership. I mean, look at who they're praising here.
A long time about what the elements of the recovery package nationally should be.
John Corzine wasn't just the first governor to pass an economic recovery plan for his state. He was an ally with the Obama administration in helping us develop a national recovery plan.
There he is, the genius John Corzine.
The man with the plan.
Yeah, let's take your phone calls, 398-1020. You're
people
on
wear
the air.
sweater vests.
That's for sure. Hello, you're on the air.
Good afternoon, folks. Dan from the American Legion.
Oh,
Hey,
my
Dan,
hero,
good
Dan Danchak, everybody. Here's a man who's almost single-handedly really brought the goods when it came to getting these petitions. I was telling Sam and Bob about you, and hey, I got an idea. Let's get these petitions, put them on his desk, and pretty much, Dan, that was your baby, so kudos to you.
Well, a lot of hard work by a lot of folks at the American Legion, and especially thanks goes out to the citizens of South Jersey, true patriots.
You know what, we have some of the most patriotic people in New Jersey, and all the parades, and you're in them, I'm in them. It makes me feel good. I love that. In fact, there was a story real quick, a 13-year-old that didn't salute the flag. I want to personally buy her a ticket to Pakistan and just tell her and her family to leave. I mean, I think we live in the greatest nation in the world, and it is people like you. That's what this show is about. We always love to feature great patriots and people that do have it right.
Well, we had a young lady at the petition drive. She refused to sign it and made a big deal about it.
All right, I'll get her a ticket too.
And then I just told the other kids around there who stepped up. I said, we need people like that young lady to highlight people like you.
Absolutely.
I said the difference is stark. And I said, we need people to make statements like she made.
Well, there's always the village idiot. I mean, come on.
Well, it says it tells you that we can't live in a fantasy world. We know there are people like that.
Well, that's the Wall Street occupiers. They are all the people that still live in the basement with their dad, and they can't get it together. They're socially inept, and they don't know where a shower is, and they think
Sean
it's okay
tried to get the kid a job. He said, "I'll get you a job paying $12 an hour." He said, "No, I need $80K."
Yeah, is that great? $80K to what? Be just a moron? I don't know. I'm looking at go on Craigslist. Are they offering $80K to be a moron? I don't, and a stinky moron to boot.
Yeah, I mean, I've been in the
it.
casino business for 35 years. You work your way up if you can, and you get a decent job. But there's that little hard work element that they want to skip that step somehow.
I know. Well, here you hear what Sam's saying. I mean, this is a reality. You have your family, your values, America, for all y'all, and I love the Lord. I'm just maybe not the biggest Bible thumper, but the one thing that people will say, well, it was founded on religion. Nah, not so fast. It really was. It was about prosperity and opportunity. The British people who left England because they were tired of getting their brains bashed out by the royalty for taxes and all this nonsense, when they came over here, folks, this was an undeveloped piece of woods. And a lot of people died. I mean, there was hardship, heartache. You had the Indian issue, and God bless them and all that. And
yeah, people conveniently forget about the tough times, but the tough times make you appreciate where you're at now. That's a standard ingredient. When you were talking about John Corzine, he's very capable of losing or misplacing $1.6 billion.
That's a talent. That is a talent.
Yeah, but when it came time to bundle up to a couple weeks ago, $500 million for the Obama re-election campaign, he seems to know where all that money is.
Absolutely. Amen. And again, this is what I'm saying when I'm the news junkie. Everybody's got their thing. You all can see by the size of my butt and whatnot. I don't work out. For me personally, it just doesn't fit into my life. And I'm a news junkie. And I love to watch all the outlets. And of course, MSNBC, the Fantasy Channel. And I do love Chris Matthews. I've had him to my house for a party. And I know his dad, Jim, used to take care of his father, a great American. And sometimes I really want to ask Chris, what are you smoking? You were a presidential, writer.
I almost think it's a put on with Chris Matthews.
Well, no, sometimes I almost think it's that self-loathing, hating white guy because you're real successful. Yet he'll talk all this stuff, and yet just before his father passed away, Herb passed away, Chris bought this slamming, rockin' house up in the New England states, and Herb had brought out pictures, and I'm like, wow, what a neat house. And in fact, one of the sisters, somebody I went to school with, there's like Chris's sister's married to somebody locally. And I looked, I said, what is with your brother? And she's like, shakes her head. She goes, I don't know sometimes. So I'm looking at just what you talk about, the truth. I'm not trying to hurt anybody, but like in front of me right now, Bob has a yellow piece of paper and pad in front of him. It's not blue. It's not pink. It's not green. I'm even thinking if he hated yellow, I'm not going to get into all the politics that, oh my God, if I say it's yellow, you might need a Prozac. Too bad. Like, I think that's so sad in our country with the freedom of speech. We've absolutely kind of imploded on that you just can't say, listen, if my butt looks fat in a dress, my God, be a friend. Tell me that I need to get a different dress.
April, let me just jump in and say this to you too. There's a major component here to what we're talking about that I think we're not covering, and that is the future of our grandchildren.
Absolutely.
And the future of America. I mean, we know where we came from, and although we may lose sight of that, what we can't lose sight of is our responsibility to care for what we're left as the caretakers for this country, for our grandchildren.
Yeah, what are we going to really offer them right now? As you pointed out, Wheaton, Lennox, the list goes on. Vineland was huge in farming, yet Millville for manufacturing. I've said it so many times on our shows, over the years. I really am concerned of that. I do think we've got to have one of the most, look around. My challenge to Chris would be absolutely look where the most growth in America is and then take a business model after that. I know Florida does not have, I think it's state income tax. And so when you start to look why people are taking their retirement dollar, their double digits and their, what do you call them? A double income, no kids. And then they're out going to restaurants, they're shopping, they're, all that. I mean, Sam, for your family, you're really talking multi-generational.
Yes.
Well, it's dramatic numbers, April. It's 7% tax. And if you're going to take your retirement, people go to Florida, they get residence down there, and they take all their IRA and all their distributions down there, and they'd be a fool not to, actually.
Well, if you don't mind me jumping in here, this is Sam Fiocchi. I ran for state assembly last year, and we did redistricting last year because each of the legislative districts have to be, I think, roughly 225,000 people. And Cape May County lost residency. I think they lost maybe about 20,000 people or so. And I was kind of surprised. I said, well, I don't know, it doesn't seem like that happened. How can it be that people left? But I think more it was attributed to change of residency. People, Cape May County is certainly more affluent than Cumberland County. A lot of those people probably have homes in Florida or in other places where the tax rates are more reasonable. So they figured, well, why should I get my head beat in New Jersey when I can save tax dollars?
Right. Yeah, well, April will tell you, one of our legendary commanders at the American Legion, Bill Ulrich, he took his family down to Florida. We lost a great patriot in South Jersey, and it's Florida's gain.
Yep.
And he was also very very instrumental on the petition drive. And I wanted to thank him and Commander Butler. And I'm going to let you guys go, but I wanted to once again, your radio show, everybody in that room right now, the people of South Jersey, just a thank you from all my fellow veterans, and we really appreciate your effort.
And thank you for putting up with me so much. and you know what? My only request is now when I go into the American Legion and VFW, I'm not picking up my barbell.
Uh-oh. That's dangerous.
Yeah, you guys, you know what? Careful what you wish for. Well, Dan, God bless you, and thank you for being one of my biggest supporters, and I of you, sir. And, I'll be at the Legion. I'll be waiting for that free cocktail daddy.
And remember, we still have work to do.
Oh, yes, sir. I'm on it. I already got my next project twisted in my head here.
All right. Say hello to the governor for me.
I will. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dan.
Take care.
All right. We maybe have about a minute or two left before the top of the hour news. What are the topics we're going to cover in the next hour?
I think we're going to
Who knows, right?
Yeah, well, I think I want to hear more from Sam
Some of the
about
controversial topics we talked about during the commercial.
I'm telling you, we need the show after the show.
That's like a 5-hour show for like some of the topics.
Yeah, that's why I said sometimes it is a deeper subject. But Sam, more back to what you were saying, and when you had all these companies leave, like what can we do now as New Jerseyans? I think we're all in this together. Let's all agree right now today, you're listening, we're all in this together. What can we do as a state? How can we cheer our governor on? What good ideas can we do to really and implementable? I want. Don't give me crazy.
All right, you are listening to the final broadcast of April Kauffman, and she was my co-host for 3 years right here on WIBG. Sat right across from me hours before she was murdered, and if you've been living under a rock, then maybe you don't know, but her husband, former Dr. James Kauffman, and 7 others were charged in connection with the murder of April Kauffman on Tuesday. And we have a lot more of April's final broadcast right here on the King Arthur Radio Show, 398-1020. If you'd like to call in and talk about April, 398-1020. We're coming right back.